We're proud of our country, mountains and streams. Our Jennian culture, our nation, our team.
Partnering with people who share your values is important. To achieve gold medals, you've got to put the hard yards in. The Jennian team share that pursuit of excellence, giving their best every day. And they get the results. Well done on 40 years, Jennian. Thanks for being the team behind the NZ team.
Kia ora, good evening and welcome to Newtown Park in Wellington, Te Whanganui Ataro, and we are here for the Jennian Homes New Zealand Track and Field Championships of 2024. A very important year for New Zealand athletics, and it's already been a very good year with the World Indoor Championship results that we have experienced over the past couple of weeks, and we look forward excitedly to the middle of the year, July, and the Paris Olympics, and we will have some contenders for the Paris Olympics here across the next 4 days. Mark Rosanowski and Reece Buck with you on the evening of the first of 4 days of competition. Throughout the day today we've had age group competition, but coming up very shortly the first of the senior finals. Across the next 90 minutes we will bring you 4 5,000 metre finals, the women's under 20, men's under 20, and also the women and senior men's 5,000 metre titles to be decided here across the next 90 minutes or so. Reece Buck, we welcome people in on a fine day, but there is a blustery northerly out there. You are very familiar with running here at Newtown Park, and you are a 10,000 metre winner in your time, 2010 World Cross Country representative for New Zealand. Looking forward to the 5,000 metres. What do you think about the conditions as we look at the start list for the under 21?
Yeah, look, certainly I think we've seen throughout the events today that that wind has been blowing around. It has been creating a little bit of trouble. I think for these 5,000s we're probably going to see some conservative running in those first few laps. But we've also got some quality runners out there. So I am hoping to see actually some really good times come out of it. I think across the 4 fields, I think we've got somewhere around about 11 of our World Cross Country representatives that are in peak form, not only for the championships today, but as they prepare and head off for the World Cross Country Championships in Serbia in just a couple of weeks. So, yeah, look, we've got athletes in good form. The conditions are pretty good, a little bit blustery. We might see them start off a little bit slower, but hopefully the times come today. And hey, look, we're here for the racing anyway. It's all about titles at national championships. Indeed it is. We've seen the start list there of 7 runners after a couple of defections for the women under 20, and key here is that Catherine Lund from Otago will take her place here. She was also in the start list for the seniors, but she's taking on the under 20s. Yeah, and she's one of those athletes that is in really, really good shape, and will be heading off, I think, in the next day or so, heading off to the World Cross Country Championship. So, look, it's an awesome opportunity to see one of our up-and-coming juniors like that competing in the Nationals when they're in good form right before they go off to represent the Black Singlet at the World Championships. And she's got the fastest time of these runners in 2024 with a 16:38.81, which was set back in January, the same day that Zara Geddes posted her personal best as well. I've seen these 2 Otago runners battle it out on the cross-country course, and you expect them to be prominent here in the 5,000. Yeah, look, and I think they're 2 athletes where it's good to see that they're not just turning up to run nationals as their first 5K of the season, actually having a really good quality competition back in January down in Dunedin, and it should set them up well here today. As we see, we've just said the start, go and go for this junior women's 5,000 metre championships. It's a little bit slower in that first 100 metres than what we were expecting, but as we said, it is a little bit blustery out there. But Catherine Lund, she doesn't want to muck around too much, so she's making her way straight to the front. And Kate Curry from Canterbury, is the tall athlete just in behind her, currently sitting in second.
So looking forward to these 5,000 metres tonight. Of course, they come through the first 200 metres in around 45 seconds, very quiet early. And Reece, nobody prepared to go with Catherine Lund early, which is perhaps a little surprising.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I don't think she's going off a bull at a gate, but no. It may be that some of those girls are looking to see what they can do as far as the medals in behind Catherine. We know that Catherine's in really good shape. That personal best you mentioned of 16:38. She is a quality young runner. But those girls in behind her, certainly Sasha Ledecker, who's currently sitting there in second place. Personal best of 17:19 late last year at the Night of Fives up in Auckland. An excellent meet now that's producing some really good consistent 5,000 metre performances for our juniors and our seniors. So there's a couple of the athletes that we'll see tonight that actually set their personal bests just back in December at the Night of Fives, and Sasha's one of them.
So 12 and a half laps of the track here at Newtown Park for the 5,000 metres, and we have 4 championship titles to decide, and Catherine Lund is sitting off by herself, and she's established a break already of about 30 metres as they come into the front straight again in front of the grandstand, and a good crowd here enjoying obviously the day as the shadows start to stretch across the track. Zara Geddes leading the pack in behind now from Kate Curry lying third, and then Sasha Ledecker back to fourth.
So we've got Otago 1-2 at the moment.
Bridie Rescue is another in the Canterbury uniform, number 395.
Yeah, and I was just talking to her coach Maria Hassan just before the race, and look, she's one of those girls that this is an opportunity with a good little field in there for some of those girls like Bridie, who's coming through into the 5,000, to maybe be able to stick in that pack and see how she goes. Coming in with a personal best of 17:34, so she's just off those top girls, but certainly over 5,000, especially for the juniors, where they generally have less experience with the distance. It's a learning experience, and where they can get in a field like this, they can get dragged through for some really good times.
The New Zealand under-20 record currently held by Olivia Burden at 15:50.12 back in 2017. Now that won't be touched tonight, and Katra Robinson has the under-19 record at 16:06.01, also set in 2017, a little later in that year. Catherine Lund has checked around a few times, Reece, to see if anyone's coming with her, but I think she's probably consigned to the fact she's looking to run her own race here.
Absolutely. And look, we just saw a clip just before of the rest of that pack. Sophie Robb and Ella Smart in there from Auckland City and Waikato Bay of Plenty. And so for those watching, Poppy Martin and Jodie Nash, the 2 athletes that have scratched from this event. Poppy Martin, another one of those athletes that is about to head off to World Cross Country.
So it's a huge year, both obviously for our senior athletes and for the under-20s as well. There's also an under-20 World Championship coming up later in the year in Peru, and we've got a number of particularly 1,500 metre runners that have been running world performance standards, so it's going to be quite competitive in amongst that group to see who goes to those championships.
Yeah, and I think that's at the National Championships in New Zealand. It comes off the back of a long outdoor season, especially for these young athletes. A number of them have run at New Zealand secondary schools back in December, so they would have been in the best shape they could for the schools champs. A number of them have then had maybe the 3K champs leading into this. We've got the 5,000 metre champs. We've got athletes heading off to World Cross Country, then World Juniors. It's a tough, long year for New Zealand athletes that have the outdoor season in contrasting seasons to the European season.
So nearly 5 minutes into this women's under 25,000 metre final, straight final, and Catherine Lund leading by about 40 to 50 metres at this stage. Zara Geddes is leading the pack and just opening up a wee bit of a gap there over Kate Curry and Sasha Ledecker, Bridie Rescue, and 258 from Auckland's Sophie Robb and Alice Smart at the back of the 7-strong field.
And so the whole pack, even though Catherine does have a little bit of a gap, the whole pack is actually running a reasonably smart time, a pace at the moment. So they're going through just going through with about 8.5 laps remaining. We will get a 2K split for you the next time they go through the 200 metre mark, and that will give us a bit of a picture of the kind of pace these girls are on.
Looking ahead tonight, obviously we've got the men's under 20 coming next, and it's a good sized field there. It's 2 times the size of this field and a couple more, currently 16 I think down to run there. Then the senior women's and senior men's, and the 3 medalists from last year's senior men's all line up again, and they'll be looking to jostle for the podium again.
Yeah, and it seems that every time I'm sitting here on a microphone at Newtown Park, I see Eric Speakman and Julian Oakley racing head to head. So look, I'm looking forward to another great race in that senior men's race, and certainly great to see such a huge field in the senior women's event. I see we've got 17. I haven't checked the scratchings yet, but 17 there on the start list.
I think they're all listed to be running, apart from Catherine Lund, of course, who's chosen to run in the under 20, and she also had her name down for the senior women's, but she won't be there, of course.
Yeah, and certainly from the last couple of years, a who's who of medalists across cross-country, road and track and field events. So, yeah, really looking forward to that senior women's race as well.
So about to tick through the 7-minute mark in this 5,000 metres women's under 20, and Catherine Lund, who after a very quiet start from the entire pack opted to head out on her own. She does have considerably the fastest personal best in this, and it was set this year back in January in her hometown of Dunedin. Zara Geddes is currently lying second, and she's created a break on the pack in behind, which is now led by Bridie Rescue from Sasha Ledeker. Kate Curry off the back of that 3, and then back to Ella Smart and Sophie Robb rounding out this field, and they're about to come through the start-finish line as Catherine Lund heads into the back straight.
And as I said we saw that first 100 metres, things were a little bit cagey. No one really wanted to go and lead into this blustery wind. Catherine Lund currently on about 17.05 pace. It's a little bit slower than what we saw here at Newtown Park last year to take out the under-20 championships, but she is by herself. She's doing what she needs to do to win, but as that second pack is starting to split up a little bit and they're starting to push through, I'm thinking we're going to see some pretty good times there for that second, third, fourth place.
Zara Geddes pushing into a clear second. This is Catherine Lund here in the Otago strip, number 101. We're expecting her to lead, and she's been out on her own pretty much from after the first 100 metres, although Zara Geddes is really making a determined effort to bridge the gap and has put a considerable margin on the bunch of 3 and behind.
Yeah, look, when you see an athlete like Catherine running out the front there, putting that in perspective sometimes about what that says about the level the other girls are at. So Catherine Lund finished 27th at the World Junior Cross Country Championships in Bathurst in Australia last year. She's one of the top junior woman athletes in the world. And so the fact that she is leading, not surprising, but really, really good to see that those next few girls actually not far off her, and certainly in the case of Zara Geddes, she's currently on pace for somewhere right around her personal best, so she's going to be happy with how she's running now. Let's see if she can start to pull back towards Catherine a little bit more.
With your experience in world cross-country teams for New Zealand, and I saw your retro jackets that you brought here earlier tonight, which is very impressive, from the early 2000s, you can give us a really good gauge on just how strong that competition is at the world cross countries right throughout the grades.
Yeah, look, I was just having a chat to a couple of athletes here when I arrived here at the track this afternoon, and talking about what some of these athletes are going to have to encounter. Some of them are familiar with it. We've got some new athletes like William Little heading over. Will be taking it on, and in the senior men's, he's the only senior man selected for New Zealand this time around. I think the difference from what we're used to competing domestically is that I think my first experience I went as hard as I could for the first 400 metres so that I wasn't going to be towards the back, and no matter how fast I went I was still towards the back, and it took me a long way to work through that field. No matter how hard I was going, the athletes weren't slowing down and coming back to me, which makes it really tough.
Catherine Lund in the back straight, over 10.5 minutes into this 5,000 metre final. Also on the back straight is Zara Geddes. She's really done a good job pulling away from the rest of the field who've just gone through the start-finish line. Sasha Litka alongside of Bridie Rescue and the other Canterbury runner Kate Curry, but it's Catherine Lund coming down the side towards the 100 metre start, where tomorrow at 5:20 we'll get to witness Zoe Hobbs in a straight final of the 100 metres. One of the highlights of day 2 of the championships. Zoe, of course, fresh off the back of a very close 4th in the 60 metre final in the world indoors, missing a bronze medal by 0.01 of a second. Certainly working hard now, Catherine Rees up front.
Yeah, and she's just off that pace that we talked about earlier when they went through 2,000 metres. She's gone through, I think that's 3,400 metres now, so she's just outside that 17.05 pace. But still working hard there at the front, and great to see Zara Geddes still going strong there in second. And we're going to have a little battle on here for that bronze medal.
Indeed, and all 5 can probably count themselves in that at the moment. Bridie Rescue third at the moment, Sasha Litka on her shoulder in 2:01. Just behind them, the tall figure of Kate Curry, and only about 20 metres back to the other 2 in Alice Smart and Sophie Robb. Obviously a great time for athletics as a whole, Reese, at the moment, but of course 5,000 metres recently, the men's record broken by Geordie Beamish, who's then done extraordinary things over the 1,500 indoors. Yeah,
absolutely. Look, as a fan of the sport, you can't help but love seeing that black singlet running at the front and winning events. And as a fan of the sport, how awesome is it to see a sprinter then going and competing with the best in the world and just off a medal, and then a high jumper going and winning a world championship as well. It's pretty amazing to watch all the way from back in New Zealand. But it is great to have a New Zealand distance runner following on that tradition from generations before, but even the traditions that Nick and even Sam Tanner more recently have been setting up and continuing on over the last few years.
So Catherine Lund clear of Zara Geddes, and in this group of 3 looking to fight out the bronze medal, Bridie Rescue, Sasha Litka and Kate Curry.
So Catherine Lund still looking really comfortable as she's going down the back straight. She is working hard. And I believe 13:40 through that mark is that 17:05 pace. So for her, she's just under that. So she might be, maybe in the back of her head, she knows what she's aiming at. She's got that sub 17 minutes as maybe a benchmark of where she's at, what she's ready to do as she heads off to World Cross Country.
And Zara Geddes about 80 metres behind her and looking to finish off strongly and hopefully go close to her personal best that you mentioned there of 17:18 and change. And we're going to have a really keen battle amongst 3 for that bronze medal.
Yeah, I know we get focused on the winner, the leader down there on the track, those first 2 looking to have those that gold and silver sewn up, but certainly every time I look down to the track, my eyes turn to the 3 athletes there currently fighting for that bronze medal as they go around with 2.5 laps. So 1 kilometre remaining for that pack of 3.
Kate Curry leading that pack, Sasha Litka moving forward on the outside, and Bridie Rescue right in the fight for a bronze medal as well. Catherine Lund down the back straight with about 600 metres left to run in the women's under 25,000 metres here at the Jennian Homes New Zealand Track and Field Championships, day 1 of 4, and our first session of live streaming, and 3 more full days to come. It's that pack of 3, if we can call it a pack, going through with 2 laps left to run.
Yeah, and I think coming back to that World Cross Country discussion, certainly Catherine Lund, Zara Geddes, showing why those selections for that World Junior Cross Country team have been well earned, and they're showing today that they are the pick of our junior women running here in New Zealand at the moment, as Catherine Lund heads through to get the bell. 400 metres remaining for her in this junior 5,000 metres.
Zara Geddes coming into the front straight, about 500 metres left for her, and she's going to comfortably take the silver medal, but will be looking to run obviously as good a time as she can in the conditions this evening. Certainly sunny, it's been a fine day, but a fairly strong northerly breeze, which might just be starting to drop away a little as we head towards the senior competitions.
Oh, and Zara's going to have to be happy with this. She was third in the cross country in 2023. She was third in the 1500 and third in the 3000 metres. So look, to come out and get a silver medal here before she heads away to represent New Zealand has got to be a great way to head off.
So this battle of bronze that's brewing, we've got
so Catherine Lund down the top end, about to come into the home straight. You'll hear the bell in the background as Sasha Litica and Bridie Rescue and Kate Curry sort out third with a lap to go. But Catherine Lund is going to be victorious in the Women's Under-20 National Championship.
Yeah, and a really good quality run there from Catherine. She knew early on the other girls were wanting to race a little bit more and maybe a little bit concerned about that wind. So she moved away pretty quickly and got into her work. And she stayed pretty consistent with that pace. She dropped off a little bit in the middle as it started to get a little bit tough in that wind, but came through really strong.
She's run very close to 17 minutes there. Here comes Zara Geddes in second place from Otago Quinella.
And like we said about that personal best, just outside of her personal best here tonight, but running solo there in second place, she took the risk. And she moved away from those other girls, and she's well earned that second place silver medal. And
Kate Curry finishing strongly, and she's going to take a bronze medal here. Sasha Litica in fourth spot and Bridie Rescue in fifth. Good battle for the minors. Kate Curry takes third.
Well done. Sasha Litica third. Fourth, sorry.
And two runners still out on the course. Waikato Bay of Plenty runner Ella Smart and also Sophie Robb of Auckland to complete their 5,000 metres.
And once again, we've seen Ella Smart out competing well over the summer so far. Third in the junior mile at the Potts Classic in a really good time of 5:05 for her. So yeah, good to see her backing up and coming out here at the 5,000. A good solid run. And Sophie Robb there to round out the field in this junior women's 5,000 metre championships.
So 17 minutes, 0.15 for Catherine Lund, our under-20 champions. Zara Geddes credited with 17:30.91. And just waiting for Kate Curry's time to pop up. First of the four races we're bringing you this evening from the Jennian Homes New Zealand Track and Field Championships for 2024. We've got the senior men's to come, the under-20 men's to come next before the senior women, and we round out with the senior men, which is due to start at 7:20 this evening. Bruce, here's the field for the men's 5,000 metres under 20, and young George Wiley there at the top of the list in a 14:39.23 best. This looks to be a pretty competitive field.
Yeah, look, I think the junior 5,000 is one of those events that one, we tend to get quite big fields, which is great to see, especially as these athletes are moving into the senior grades and they're going to be running 10 kilometres over cross country, 10 kilometres at the National Road Champs. As they move into seniors, for those who can go to World Cross Country, 10 kilometres as well. So great to see we have athletes that as juniors are choosing to step up and take on this 5,000 metres. We've got a really, really good competitive field here. There's no one that stands out that's going to run 30 seconds off the front, which means I'm looking forward to actually watching a really, really good race.
I've highlighted a few here. Is there any particular that you've highlighted that you expect to be prominent, albeit an even field?
Look, you've got to highlight the fact that Fendon Bailey, he's the only returning athlete. He was 9th in 2023. Great to see him back. Often what happens in these junior grades, they're only 2 years long. So a number of athletes that were running last year have moved up into that senior grade. So we need to refill it with some of those under-18s coming through. But Fendon Bailey,
looking forward to seeing Fenlon. There's the official result of the under-20 women, and Kate Curry's time was 17:51.65 ahead of Sasha Litka, Bridie Rescue and Alice Smart, and Sophie Robb rounding out that field.
But yeah, and certainly looking at those athletes, we've got 4 junior World Cross Country representatives that are heading off to Belgrade that are in this race, as Kabosiao, Daniel Prescott, Elliot Pugh and Lorcan Rabit. Certainly 4 athletes to watch out there. Elliot Pugh, 39th at the World Cross Country in 2023. Certainly one of the athletes to watch. And once again, they're in good form. We know they're in really good form for 5,000 metres as they head off to run at World Cross Country. And it's an opportunity on the track for them all to race head-to-head, and maybe for some of those younger guys that are coming through as well, to maybe prove themselves and match themselves up against our top juniors.
Daniel Prescott, I think he's come out of this field, and we will confirm that fairly shortly. But he may be saving himself for the 1,500 metres. It's a distance over which he has excelled this season, and he was a front-running winner of the New Zealand Secondary Schools over the 1,500. He's posted a World Performance Under-20 Championship performance standard, so he's got that to chase because there are 7 that have. So I'm picking that he might just be saving himself for that as the field assembles over at the 200-metre mark, and the back straight with that northerly just blowing into their face at the moment.
Because there are so many runners so evenly, I won't get detailed. I'll just run through the names very quickly. George Wiley, Daniel Prescott, Louis Andres, Lorcan Rabbit, Max Tuttle, Finley Oliver, Ben Scott, Latty Parsons, Max Tolan, Sean Collins.
Incidentally, the World Performance Standard for 5,000 metres for the World Under-20 Championships is 14:08.
Fenlon Bailey and Elliot Pugh. We've got 4 members of the team going to the World Cross Country Championships in this field, so just like in that women's race, they'll be looking for a solid time, and also, of course, looking for championship medals.
And that northerly still pretty fresh too as we lead into this race.
3,000 metres, and have stepped up to this. So we've got Elliot Pugh, and who was the second in that race last year, and
saw Elliot Pugh run
Wagner, who was
cracking mile at the Pops Classic. He was pipped by James McLean in a fantastic finish, but Elliot was chasing Daniel Prescott home from New Zealand Secondary Schools at the 1,500 as well. So he's had a busy and good season so far, and would expect to see him prominent in this field.
Absolutely. A new event for him, moving up to the 5,000 metres. So, like we were saying earlier with the junior girls, most of our juniors are relatively inexperienced over 5,000 metres. It is an event that a lot of the 3,000 metre athletes, especially a lot of these athletes who ran in the 3,000, I think we've got 7 or 8 of them that ran in the 3,000 at New Zealand Secondary Schools back in December. The 5,000 is quite a different beast. So in order to run a good 5,000, you have to be comfortable through the 3K mark. in the 3K, you can get away with being really uncomfortable at 2/3. So at 2K, you've got to be pretty tired. You've only got a K left, whereas in the 3,000, in the 5,000, if you do too much too early, the last 2 kilometres can really tell. And for these young athletes, some of them will make that mistake. Some of them will go out a little bit harder than what they're ready for. And look, hopefully it doesn't result in any major downfalls through the field, but that will be where those athletes who maybe have got some good advice from their coach, or maybe they run a more conservative race, we might see those ones come through towards the end.
5,000 metre under 20 New Zealand record is held by Richard Potts, of course, who looks after the Potts Classic, of which we had the 25th edition back in January, and son of Alan and Sylvia, prominent athletes and coaches in their own right. And Richard's time set back in 1989, 13:49.01, also an under 19 record at the time.
Absolutely impressive. I think nearly every time I see Richard, I joke with him about how impressive that record is. But I think he's one of those athletes where he would love to see that record go. He would love to see a junior athlete come through and surpass that. But I think there's also some family pride there as well. That Potts name still on the New Zealand record books.
Toes to the line and underway in the men's under 20 5,000 metres. Waikato Bay of Plenty singlets to the 4 early on.
Looks like George Wiley leading for the first 100 metres there.
He's 777.
Ahead of Max Tuttle from Auckland. And we're going to say these names and immediately someone else makes a run to the front. So it's Elliot Pugh. He's decided he didn't want to muck around. As he came around in front of the stand there, he made that strong move. So the 3 Waikato Bay of Plenty athletes there now leading out. So Elliot Pugh leading there from George Wiley. And as expected, 2 of those athletes that we were expecting to see at the front.
And they're spread out fairly quickly into largely single file.
Yeah, and that's probably a reflection partly of a 68-second first lap. So they aren't mucking around, about 14:10 pace through the first lap, and in these windy, blustery conditions, they'll be doing very, very well to hold that pace through the entirety of the race. But yeah, as you said, it's strung this field out quite quickly, people just dropping in to positions maybe where they can get comfortable, where they can stay out of the wind.
And the 5 Waikato Bay of Plenty runners are the first 5 through 600 metres.
Now, I see Finlay Oliver from Waikato Bay of Plenty. He's sitting there in 4th place. And just over him, Louis Andres from Waikato as well. Another one of the athletes, actually, Louis there with a personal best under 15 minutes. So 5 quality athletes there leading it out. Lorcan Rebeat, another one of the athletes heading off to the World Cross Country Champs. He's the lone Wellington athlete, just sitting on the back of that lead Waikato pack.
Saw him running a strong 3,000 from the front at Wanganui when there was monetary prizes up for leading through the sectionals, and Lorcan did nicely for himself that night. Into the front straight they come, and Elliot Pugh still leading with George Wiley right on his back. No change in the order from the last lap.
Wellington people intruding in the Waikato Championships. Here is Morgan Rabbit, who's also going to the World Cross Country Champs.
As Kupaso,
Running very well.
also prominent here. And then Finlay Oliver. And the 5th of the Waikato Bay of Plenty runners, Louis Andre.
Pretty solid pace, running at 70s. And they just proved me wrong by slowing a bit on that one to about 72-73.
Look and repeat the odd one out at the moment in the yellow of Wellington.
As predicted, the Wellington flag.
And Nick Dobie from Egmont Athletics there, just behind Lorcan. And Sean Collins from Waikato Bay of Plenty in behind him.
9 laps to go in the men's under 20 5,000 metre final.
But the lights have come on. So for the first time in New Zealand history, the Nationals are being run under lights.
Legend of running and announcing, Reece. Roger Robinson just announcing that the lights have come on here, of course, and they're a very new thing here at Newtown Park.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, 20 years ago when I was racing down here and trying to get some times, we were often trying to delay things as late as we could into the evening, hoping that Wellington wind would drop away. And we've had cars down here on the infield with the lights lighting up the finish line so that we could get some electronic timing done. So, yeah, absolutely brilliant. Between Wellington City Council and Athletics Wellington being able to get this done and have lights here so that as the light starts to fade, the atmosphere changes and those lights come on, and that's a really, really awesome atmosphere. We saw it here at the New Zealand 10,000 metre champs back in November, and it was great. The lights came on the last couple of races under lights. It was really awesome.
Going to be interesting to see how Elliot Pugh goes from here inside the last 8 laps, given his relative inexperience at the 5,000 metres, but he has been leading this field at a pretty decent pace with some runners on his back that have got some pretty reasonable personal bests.
Yeah, so things have slowed down a little bit as they're now heading through the 2 kilometre mark at 5 minutes and 54.
Edging down closer to a 70 again.
And the first 6 putting a bit of a gap on the remainder of the field. So 5 Waikato Bay of Plenty athletes plus Lorcan Rabit in the Wellington singlet off the back of that pack. And Nick Dobie's just dropped off the back of that by about 15 metres. So they come down with 7 laps left to run. 8:27 there is Max Poland.
Just ahead of Sean Collins there from Waikato Bay of Plenty. And that next pack being led out by Toby Caro of Auckland.
So in front is Elliot Pugh. George Wiley, the youngest in the field, currently lying second. Still a field of, or a pack of 6 at the front of this field.
And Elliot Pugh starting to look around. He's starting to see whether his teammates, whether his Waikato Bay of Plenty compatriots are there with him, see what's happening in behind. Maybe a sign also that things are slowing down a little bit as Elliot is maybe getting tired there at the front. We did say earlier that the wind has been a little bit blustery. Just here in the top of the stands, we have been hearing some pretty good gusts of wind coming over the top of the stand. So I think down on the track, they are really starting to feel that at the front, and Elliot Pugh doing the work at the front for this pack. It'll be interesting to see if any of those athletes decide to move through and help him out.
As Kupaso still in third spot at the moment as we go through the start-finish line again.
Yeah, and his World Cross Country selection based off of a road time. He ran sub 32 minutes for 10k down at the Timaru 10 in October. Showed the kind of form that an athlete like that can run. Sometimes our top athletes over 8 kilometres, which is what World Cross Country is, find that difficult to reproduce that kind of form over the shorter 1,500, 3,000 metre track events that they're more likely to run at secondary schools. So great to see the selectors looking at a performance like that at the Timaru 10 and giving him a chance in that World Cross Country squad.
A couple of times I thought this pack of 6 might break up. Lorcan Rabit just hanging on the back there. Louis Andre just ahead of him, but They're all staying in touch at the moment, and this time they come around, they'll have 6 laps remaining.
Yeah, and I think they are still slowing down a little bit every lap. We saw early on a couple of 68, then we dropped down to 70s. We've had some 72, 73s. We're around about that 255 mark at the first K. We were 259 for the second. And they're going to be just over that 3-minute mark for this next kilometre, going through there at 8:59.
So Elliot Pugh leading. George Wiley's been on his back right from the start, and this pair just opening up a break now on Az Kubasau and Finlay Oliver, and then just a little gap opening up between that pair and then back to Louis Andre, and on his back Lorcan Rabit, who's actually just gone underneath him and into 5th spot.
No problem with the clock at the moment. It's currently running on 9:31, 32.
Now a change up top with George Wiley taking over for the first time here. Elliot Pugh getting a little bit of relief and probably time that somebody else in the singlet actually took a bit of the win for him.
Yeah, in a familiar battle at secondary schools just back in December, George took second there in the 3,000 metres with Elliot Pugh right behind him in third. So these two are used to racing together. George just running a little bit wide as they come down the home straight, maybe an indication that they've pushed a bit hard in that lap as they entered into that 4th kilometre. But he's dropped back down to the inside as they head around the top bend here at Newtown Park, and both those athletes looking as though they're happy to keep stretching that lead out. It was a slow 3rd kilometre. They dropped down to about 3:05. And for these top athletes, that change in pace of about 6 seconds, about 2 seconds, about 1.5 to 2 seconds per lap, was eased off just enough for a couple of athletes to feel as though they could put the brake on.
As Kubasau looking to tack on again here, Reece, and also Lorcan Rabit is also trying to get himself back into the medal race.
Yeah, as I say, we're talking about the athletes that make that break over a lap, but maybe they've just done a little bit too much too early at 3,000 metres. It is a long race. This last 2 kilometres in a 5K is a tough section of the race. Lorcan Rabit, second in the junior 3,000 metre steeplechase in 2023, so we know he's a strong athlete as well. He's certainly got his eyes on the back of that front 3.
Pugh back in front of Wiley, Kubasau, and Rabit is closing in on them. 3 laps remaining.
Not too hot at the minute. 3 laps to go. Some kind of gathering of strength going on as they sort out who's going to make the break anyway.
Got ourselves a good finish coming up. It's Waikato Bay of Plenty dominant up front with 3 runners here. Still about 10 metres back to Lorcan Rabit from Wellington, looking to get in amongst it and finish on the podium.
You know, I think for a couple of these front guys, maybe the time is not as important as the performance as far as the medal they come home with. But Lorcan Rabit coming in with a personal best of 15:05. For him, he's going to be right around that performance. We just missed that. I was going through around about a 12:05.
Pugh leads Wiley and Kubasau, and Rabit also in the picture. These 4 look like they'll fight out the medals.
So yeah, although at the 3,000 metre mark we did see that big push from George Wiley and Elliot Pugh, things slowed back down. That's allowed Lorcan to get back on the pace, and that 4th kilometre was about the same pace as the previous, just with a little bit of a surge in there.
800 metres to run. Pugh in front of Wiley, Kubasau, and Rabit trying to tack onto the back.
2 laps to run, and a lot is going to depend on finish.
Get back to another pair from Waikato Bay of Plenty and Oliver and Andre. Lorcan can seemingly get within about 10 metres, Reece, but he just can't quite bridge that gap.
Yeah, and as the cameras panned back to our leading 3 athletes, just holding off Lorcan Rabit there with 600 metres remaining, Louis Andre from Waikato has made a real surge into 5th position. He's about 50 metres back on 4th place at the moment, but he has really started to make a bit of a move, so we'll see how much he can catch back up in this last 600 metres.
So Elliot Pugh will lead them into the front straight with 500 metres to run. George Wiley on his back as Cooper Sayo in 3rd spot, and Look and Repeat now back about 20 metres in 4th, and as Reece mentioned, Louis Andre making a bit of a run and trying to close in on these leaders as they get the bell.
I can imagine 20 Ethiopians and Kenyans in front of
Pugh and Wiley pulling away now, looking to sort out gold and silver.
Yeah, interesting to see these two junior athletes as they head down the back straight. Quite different forms.
And they're about to come across lap runners as well. Here's George Wiley making his move, 200 metres left to run. As they come past some lap runners, Elliot Pugh has clung on to the singlet though, and he's still in this.
Wiley and Pugh.
The more experienced athlete in Elliot Pugh there in 2nd.
Wiley digging deep, he's got a kick, he's got a strong kick. Elliot Pugh's been brave, but George Wiley will take out the under 20 men's 5,000 metres from Elliot Pugh.
Yeah, really impressive last 80 metres there from George Wiley as he had Elliot come up on his shoulder. It was looking as though it was going to get close, but that last 80 metres really impressive as he got his legs moving.
As Kubasayo 3rd for a clean sweep on the podium for Waikato Bay of Plenty, and Look and Repeat home in 4th spot. Louis Andre coming through, and Finlay Oliver.
And then Nick Dobie there, I think, from
Max Poland coming down towards the finish line now, and a bit of a nosebleed for Max. He's completed in around 15:44.
Max Poland of Wellington.
Casey Atkinson going through in the Waikato Bay of Plenty singlet. And some really spirited kicks here over the concluding stages.
And we see Fenlon Bailey from Tasman just as he's coming up to the line now.
With Toby Caro kicking home ahead of him, and also Southland runner Ben Scott, who finished strongly as well. George Wiley's time 14:49.92. So George Wiley beats Elliot Pugh and Ez Cabaseo, and very shortly we'll be back at Newtown Park and the Senior Women's 5,000 metres next up on track.
We're proud of our country, mountains and streams,
our Jennian culture, our nation, our team.
Certainly like to congratulate Jennian Homes on their 40th anniversary. As a professional golfer, having my name alongside your name, I'm very proud of that fact.
Thank you, Jennian, for supporting emerging New Zealand golfers by enabling the Jennian Homes Charles Tour to exist. Your support of amateur and professional golfers in New Zealand has enabled us to travel overseas and compete on a world stage.
How do we get people to listen to us on the hits?
You should get comedians, you should get actors, you get TikTok stars.
Just people that aren't us.
Yeah, exactly. Just people who are famous.
You need to change your fashion.
So this stuff we're wearing now...
Oh, no.
We need a catchphrase. Jono and Ben.
Like a mailbox.
Because they always deliver. Are we still on the billboard, or are we...
You guys are tiny.
Well, let's give it a go. Not so sure about this. Well, they seem to know what they were talking about.
Yeah. Mornings are funnier with Jono and Ben. Weekdays from 6 on the hits.
Here we are at Newtown Park. in Wellington to Whanganui-a-Tara, and we are halfway through tonight's live stream of the Jennian Homes New Zealand Track and Field Championships. We're bringing you 4 5,000 metre races. We've had the women's and men's under 20s. We've got the senior women about to take the start line, and the senior men off the back of that. We've just seen George Wiley, 16-year-old from Waikato Bay of Plenty, take out the under 20 title in 14:49.92. Had a race-long battle with Elliot Pugh, 14:51.39, and has Kubaseo third, and fourth, Reese Walken Rabbit. I've been calling him Rabbit, but Rabbit, I believe.
Absolutely, the beauty of getting some messages through from some of the spectators watching on YouTube at home. So a big thanks just for that correction. Correct pronunciation there for Lorcan Rabbit. So an excellent run from him as he heads off to World Cross Country in the next couple of days.
And here is the start list for the women's 5,000 metre seniors, and it's a pretty strong field and a deep field. Tilly Hollier there on the second page has had a really good season, the 21-year-old, and she was a 3,000 metre winner here on the night of the Capital Classic in some pretty ordinary conditions, it's got to be said. It's quite a soft race for that day, but she's been going extremely well. I expect her to probably break her PB for the 5,000 tonight if she continues in the form that she's in.
Yeah, absolutely, and with a stacked women's field like this, I think that first 8 or 10 athletes all capable of running within a certain distance of each other, and hopefully should be able to drag through a big bunch of girls behind them. But Lisa Cross, the ever-present athletes in the senior women's races over the last 10 or so years. I think her first national championship all the way back in 2011, her most recent one in 2022, and here she is in 2024 leading out this field here at the Women's 5,000 metre Champs.
Extraordinary, and she's put a quick gap on the field as well, setting her own tempo up in front.
Yeah, gone through in about 77 through that first lap.
What runners are you expecting to be prominent in here from the start list, Reece?
Once again, we've got 2 athletes heading off to compete in the World Cross Country Championships, and I do know they're going to be heading off in the next couple of days. Annika Arledge from Auckland, currently sitting there in second place, and on her shoulder, we heard about her a little bit last year, Annika Fitzinger. Brilliant to see her coming back from some of the health problems that she had leading into 2023. She's still running strong, and certainly one of the athletes to watch here after a good performance, finishing 7th in 2023. And certainly earning a World Cross Country, I think her first World Cross Country singlet in 2024.
Bridget Dennehy just went past her into 3rd place. We'd expect Bridget to be prominent throughout this.
Yeah, look, I was actually just talking to Paul Hamblin, her coach, just before the races kicked off this evening, and look, she's an athlete that I've really enjoyed watching over the last couple of years. She lived in Wellington. She moved up to Auckland as I think about a 4:40, 1,500 metre runner. And now she's running down in the 4:10s. And look, the work that Paul's done with her up in Auckland, I think the environment that they've created at North Harbour Bays with that women's team, and Bridget Dennehy is one of those athletes that has thrived off that coaching and training environment, and we see her out here in the 5,000 and mixing it with the best women in the country.
So Lisa Cross, the leader in the Auckland singlet, and Auckland 1-2 at the moment, with Annika Arledge currently in 2nd spot, Bridget Dennehy 3rd, then Fitzinger, and Emily Rowan on the back of that, and then Tilly Hollier, first of the Canterbury runners in number 344.
Once again, Emily Rowan there in the Taranaki singlet. She was 4th in 2023. She was also 4th in the 3,000 last year as well, coming in with a personal best of 16:22. 2-time World Cross Country representative. Great to see her in the mix, and look, if they don't let those front girls get away too much, I think Emily will be one of those athletes to watch as they come down into the last kilometre or so. She's a very, very tough athlete. Trained up in Flagstaff in Arizona. Ran for Northern Arizona University, which some of you may be familiar with, where George Beamish has been, is currently training and has competed for as well. Theo Quack's now in the top 5 all-time over 5,000 for New Zealand. obviously of the famous Quacks family, also come through that program there at Northern Arizona University.
The championship record is owned by Kim Smith from all the way back in 2008 of 15:19.61. Same year she ran the New Zealand record 14:45.93, and the current resident record is Nyla Carroll's all the way back in 1996, 15:09.32. And although it won't be touched tonight, just to give you a guide, the Olympic qualifying standard, pretty tough, 14:52.
And we just saw Tilly Hollier as they went through the start-finish line. Tilly Hollier just moving up into 5th place, just on the shoulder of Annika Fitzinger.
Tilly's had a really interesting season. She went to the Solomon Islands for the Pacific Games and picked up double gold there, 800, 1500.
Yeah, some really, really impressive racing, and I think sometimes we look at the Pacific Games, the Oceania Champs, some of those events that maybe the quality of competition is not as high, but some really, really good racing from Tilly to take out both that 800 and 1500.
So that pack we're looking at there was Tilly Hollier just on the back of Annika Fitzinger. Up front, though, it's Lisa Cross still from Annika Arledge, and on their back, Bridget Dennehy, and they've got about a 20-metre gap on Annika Fitzinger, leading up the next pack with Tilly Hollier, Emily Rowan and Eva Pringle off the back of that pack. And Eva, at 22 years of age, made some decent strides.
Yeah, and I think we were talking before about that training environment up that the North Harbour Bays have, with Paul Hamblin there and some other coaches, and the Bays group of women that trains together and has some really good performances. And off the back of that, the Bays Night of Fives that they've created, an event that Paul Hamblin sees all his athletes run at and organises such a brilliant event up there, and Eva's one of those. Personal best there over 16:29 at the Night of Fives back in December. It's an opportunity for a lot of our younger athletes, but also some of our more accomplished athletes, to go out and race head-to-head with the best 5K runners in the country. When maybe the person who wins the medals aren't on the line, like they are here at a national championship. It's all about the times, and they create an excellent meet up there that allows those athletes just to go out and run fast.
Speaking of medals, Annika Arledge was the silver medalist last year, and this behind Laura Nagel. Laura's here tonight but not racing. She's got other commitments across the distances. She's had an incredible year, setting PBs at 800 and 1500 at an age she just shouldn't be.
Yeah, look, I was almost wishing she would run the 5K tonight to maybe take a little bit of the sting out of her legs for some of the other events. But no, looking forward to seeing her racing the 1500. Certainly the event that I'm looking forward to watching of her.
So Arledge in front of Dennehy and the early leader Cross on the back of that leading trio, and they have established a wider gap now on the next pack of runners, headed by Emily Rowan, Tilly Hollier and Annika Fitzinger. They've just pulled away a little on Eva Pringle.
Yeah, an interesting athlete, Annika Arledge there at the front. Third in the 1500 in 2023. She's 4 times New Zealand steeplechase champ. She won the 10,000 metres just back in January, and won the steeplechase and the cross country in 2023. So for an athlete that can compete with the top in the country over 1500, but yet is one of the best in the country, if not the best, over cross country and those longer distances on the track, it's really, really impressive. It's a tough athlete to beat when you know they've got a finishing kick, but they're also really strong, so they're not going to be tiring out with the leading that she's doing at the front.
We did know as Annika Grogan for some of those titles. Annika Arledge now, and she's about to come through with 6 laps remaining, with Bridget Dennehy right on her shoulder, and Lisa Cross looking comfortable enough in behind in third.
Yeah, and certainly coming off that silver medal last year, Annika will be wanting to go one better. Lisa Cross there in third place, coming off that cross-country win in 2022. And once again for her, also a personal best over 5K at the Night of Fives back in December. So another one that is in the best form of her life over 5,000 metres.
Probably about a 50-metre gap back to Rowan and Hollier. Do you see to your trained eye an opportunity for them to potentially close, or have we got our 3 medalists up front, do you think, at this early stage?
Lisa Cross tends to be kind of a driving runner. We see her looking as though she's doing a lot of work. But I think all 3 of those girls at the front, all 3 of them actually look pretty comfortable. For the styles that they run with, they look as though they're doing what they need to do to stay there at the moment. I don't think anyone's extending themselves too much. So it is going to be pretty tough for Emily and Tilly to bridge that gap at the moment. Annika at the front certainly looks comfortable. She's smiling, as maybe she's doing that just for the cameras, but she's certainly looking as though she's enjoying herself out the front, leading into this wind.
5 laps remaining in the senior women's 5,000 metre championship race here at Newtown Park on day 1 of the Jennian Holmes 2024 edition of these track and field championships. It's going to see some outstanding athletics across the next 3 days. If you are in the area, get yourself down here and see some of our top athletes competing, the likes of those that have been prominent at World Indoors recently. Just to note, Hamish Kerr, a defection from the high jump on Saturday, but we'll see the likes of Eliza McCartney, we'll see Zoe Hobbs tomorrow, we'll see Maddie Wishy tomorrow in the shot put. We'll see obviously Tom Walsh, Jacko Gill and Nick Palmer, an outstanding triumvirate in the men's shot put. The 3 New Zealand men that have put beyond 20 metres all in action. Now an interesting move here, Reece, from Lisa Cross, just looking to put some pressure on with 4 laps remaining.
You know, I was just saying just a lap ago, she looked as though all of those 3 athletes were comfortable. Certainly Lisa's style tucked in the back there, some would think that maybe she was getting a little bit tired, but that's the way she runs. She's a driving runner. She drives with her arms really strong. And she's just picked up the cadence a little bit. Nothing else has changed. The upper body is exactly the same, and all she's done is pick that cadence up, and it started to move her away. Annika and Bridget in behind her aren't letting her go, though. She's doing a bit of work out the front to try and create a gap, but those other 2 women are hanging tough. There's only about 5 metres there. I think the camera angle is making it a little bit deceptive. It's somewhere around about 5 metres there, that gap at the moment. Lisa just stretching it out a little bit as they go down the back straight.
Lisa Cross at the tender age of 41. Do you think that she needs to be taking the sting out of particularly Arledge's kick?
Oh, absolutely. Look, especially over the last couple of years, with that cross-country win in 2022, I think it showed where her strength is as she's moving into the longer distances. We've seen her run some amazing performances over half marathon and marathon. But with that 5,000 metre personal best in December, hey, look, never count out the more experienced runners, shall we say. But yeah, absolutely. Annika and Bridget in behind her are doing everything they can to hang on. Tilly Hollier has made a really strong move. She was with Emily Rowan about a lap and a half ago, and she's put about 30 metres on Emily and is really closing that gap quickly towards that front 3. So I'm sure within the next lap we will get a camera shot that is going to show how close the distance between Lisa Cross at the front, the next 2 athletes, and then Tilly Hollier as she's coming around.
So Lisa Cross down the back straight, opening up a gap over Arledge and Dennehy, but they are keeping her within a safe distance, about 50 metres away then to Hollier, looking to close in on the 3 who own the medals for now.
And just off screen as well, Tilly Hollier, as we said, has started to make a bit of a move. Currently in 4th place, Emily Rowan in 5th place. It looks like Eva Pringle, I believe, from Canterbury has now moved into 6th place, just ahead of Annika Fitzinger.
These are the leading 3 runners in shot, and they are closing in on a bunch of 4 runners that they will lap shortly. Reece, did that cause any concern at the stage of the race?
It shouldn't be too much of a hassle. The field has spread out quite a lot. There is that last pack of 4 runners, but they're all in single file now, so these athletes should be able to run straight around them without too much trouble.
Inside the last 2 laps here, Reese, and Lisa Cross still with that handy advantage, and Dennehy now is trying to leave Arledge and chase down the leader.
Yeah, you certainly don't want that gap to get any bigger, but Lisa doing everything she can to stretch that out and maybe take that kick out of Bridget and Annika, which certainly 2 athletes are more accomplished over the 1500. But as we know, we hear from all the top coaches around the world that doesn't matter how fast your kick is if you don't have the strength to be able to use it at the end. And Lisa's a strong athlete. She's going to be able to maximise every little bit of her kick. And if Bridget and Annika can...
And she's making her way around some of the lap runners now, and there's a pair in front of her running too wide here. Now they drop in, and she'll come past them. Dennehy looking to close off, but they're about to get the bell here. Arledge holding third, and Hollier just coming to the front straight in fourth.
Yeah, one of the athletes we just saw them run past there from Wellington, Fumiko Otani, formerly a 15:31 5K runner, ran in corporate Ekidens, ran for a corporate team in Japan, so it's great to see her running now for Wellington, living in Wellington. But Lisa Cross, she's still got a lead as she goes around with 300 metres remaining, but
Dennehy looking strong here.
Bridget Dennehy is really coming up on her shoulder quickly as they're down to the middle of the back straight. 250 metres remaining as Bridget Dennehy goes past.
So Dennehy makes her move in the back straight, 200 metres left to run. Lisa Cross looking to hang in there. Arledge holding down third ahead of Hollier.
Yeah, and Bridget Dennehy really starting to stretch out around that top end with 150 remaining. Lisa Cross not giving up. Lisa Cross doing everything she can to keep up with Bridget. She knows there's a silver medal on the line as well.
29-year-old Bridget Dennehy will come down the front straights and take out the senior women's 5,000 metre title.
And a really, really smart run there from Bridget. She obviously knew she had something left.
Lisa Cross second, Anika Arledge third, and Tilly Hollier will come through in fourth spot. And easily a personal best for Tilly, I would believe. I think I had it down for a 16:51. She's well inside that.
And first goes to Emily Rowan. And Anika Fitzinger.
Emily Rowan's come through. Annika Fitzinger, the next one through.
And Katrina Andrew there from Whippets Running Club in Auckland.
Eva Pringle now coming down the front straight in the Canterbury singlet. Number 393, the next to complete in a tick over 17 minutes. $16:10.85, Dennehy's time being credited. Suzuki Tanemoto coming down the front straight to complete the 5,000 metres. Followed in then by Natalie Dryden. Kimiko Otani completing the 5,000 metres now, around 18:03. So Bridget Dennehy victorious, 16:10.85. Lisa Cross second, 16:14.85, and Annika Arledge will take the bronze medal, 16:18.63. Tilly Hollier's time 16:26.61.
Yeah, I believe that might be Bridget Dennehy's first ever national championship win. So congratulations to Bridget and the team. Not only her coach, obviously her coach helps, but the team that she's got up there. I'm sure a number of those girls will be pretty ecstatic for Bridget in taking out that 5,000 metres tonight.
Conflict between established and less established riders. quickly through the field in the order in which they'll be starting.
And our final event will be the senior men's, and we'll have a look at that shortly. Here's confirmation of the 5,000 metre senior women's result, with Bridget Dennehy taking gold over Lisa Cross and Annika Arledge.
The up-and-coming Connor Melton from Canterbury.
Yeah, and despite the windy conditions out there tonight, I think with those girls out the front really pushing that pace, it shows the big difference. 30 seconds faster than the winning time from 2023. So really, really good running out the front there from those women. Getting our medalists down towards that 16-minute mark at the National Championships is really, really good to see.
Sun has left us here at Newtown Park in Wellington, and a little cooler now. Wind has dropped away to an extent. The flags down in front of us and just behind the podium there are still obviously active, but not as much as they were a little earlier on. So, well, it's getting a little cooler. Reece, from a wind perspective, the senior men might get the best of the conditions.
Yeah, look, even with a little bit of a breeze here, you can't complain. Certainly the warm-up conditions for these athletes would have been just a little bit crisp. It's kind of nice. They would have done a decent long warm-up over the last kind of 45 minutes to an hour. They would have been jogging and doing some stretches and some stride outs and stuff, and to be able to do that in slightly crisper conditions actually means that you start the race actually a little bit ready to race, rather than starting to get a little bit tired if it's a bit hot out there. So look, as we saw with the women, it actually can translate to some really, really good performances on the track, even if there's a little bit of a breeze. It does help if you've got someone that wants to lead out the front and maybe take a bit of that wind for you.
We saw the start list there, Reece, for the field of 10 for the senior men. Who have you got highlighted here? Obviously, we've got the 3 medalists from last year. Are we looking to them again?
Yeah, look, Connor Melton for me is probably the surprise horse. He's the one, third in 2023, probably doesn't come in with the kind of times that maybe some of the other leading athletes do. He's got a personal best there of 14:04, which is almost 40 seconds or over 40 seconds behind athletes like Julian Oakley and Eric Speakman. But look, third in 2023, third in 2022. I'm really excited to see how he might go tonight. But look, we can't go past Julian Oakley, Eric Speakman, World Cross Country representative William Little in their 29:14 at Zatopek back in December. He's in really, really good form, and I think those 3 plus maybe Ronan Lee are our athletes to watch.
Fairly quiet first 200 metres, especially that first 100 metres. Oakley sitting back in the pack at the moment. Fair to say that it hasn't been a great season for Julian so far.
Yeah, I think coming off such an amazing season last year, and the nice thing is that even if you're not running personal bests, even if you're not performing at the level that we know Julian could perform at, he's out here running at nationals, putting his, as they say, putting his butt on the line for a national championship. If he can go away with the gold medal, it's a nice way to cap the track season for him.
Very quiet first lap here, Reece. No one's stamped their authority on the senior men's 5,000 yet.
Yeah, George Varney there from Manawatu Wanganui. He's currently leading it out with William Little representing the Whippets Running Project up in Auckland there in second place. Connor Melton, the athlete I said, he likes that third position. Twice he's been here in the bronze medal position at the National 5,000 metre Championships.
Ronan Lee in fourth, followed then in the Wellington singlet by Callum Stewart. And you're surprised that Julian Oakley sitting so far back off a pretty slow pace at the moment?
Yeah, no, I think athletes like Julian, Eric, they know what they're capable of. I think they're probably, from the looks of things, they're not out there to run personal bests tonight. They know it's a little bit windy out there. If they've got a chance of doing the best, i.e. finishing with the highest medal possible for them, they might just want to sit and let that pace kind of slowly work its way in. And I think what we'll probably see is the last kilometre or maybe last 1,500 metres that's going to be pretty quick.
Christopher Dryden going to the front in his Canterbury singlet with a distinctive arm action.
Yeah, like Christopher Dryden's another one of those athletes. Great to see him out here competing. He's always there in the mix. He was third in the 10,000 in 2023. Eighth here in the 5K in 2023. He's always in the mix. He's one of those athletes, he's never going to sit back and let this pace muck around for too long. Great to see him just pushing forward and making sure this is going to be honest. They've gone through 3:10 through the first kilometre. It reminds me of one of the under-18 800s earlier today. They went through, and I think 68 seconds through the first lap for the 800 before they decided to really start racing in the second lap, and maybe that's what we're going to see here in the senior men's race.
So Dryden leads Little and Melton. Varney back in fourth. Ronan Lee in fifth spot at the moment. Then Callum Stewart, Julian Oakley and Eric Speakman just sitting back in the pack and watching it unfold in front of them at the moment. The first two home from last year. Speakman's got an impressive array of silver and bronze. He did pick up a gold in the 1,500 metres going back a few years, but certainly he's been on the podium many times, usually either side of the winner's spot. Yeah, and when you look at some of the achievements he got and some of the times, when you start to look at his personal bests, 3:37, 3:56 over the mile, 7:50 over 3,000 metres. He's an extremely accomplished runner. Yep. And he's absolutely one of those athletes that, despite him starting to move towards the later end of his career now, great to see him out there, and absolutely one of the dangerous athletes to watch as they get towards the end if he's still in the mix. He just looks so comfortable there, doesn't he? He's his feet and ankles doing all the work. It reminds me a little bit of how Nick Willis runs. Low arm action, doesn't do a lot of work with his upper body and just lets his lower legs tick him over. The dangerous thing is when those legs really get ticking over, he can move. Yeah, indeed. And for those athletes maybe unfamiliar with the athlete there at the back, Daniel Stoffer from Don Gregg Racing down in Canterbury. Has he been US based, Stoffer? I don't have a lot of information about Daniel, and certainly when I look through that field, a lot of familiar faces. And I think most fans of men's 5,000 metre running or distance running in New Zealand will be able to look through that field and remember races they've been in and performances they've had. And Daniel, maybe at the back there, he's hoping to get dragged along there for a pretty good performance. Well, 5.5 minutes in, and the field of 10, there's no breaks at all. Yeah, and I think that first kilometre of 3:10 certainly sets that up for a field to stick together as long as possible. 15:50 pace. When you look at a couple of these leading athletes like Julian and Eric that are running in the range of 13:20 and 13:29, 13:22 there I think for Eric, personal best. A minute and a half or 2.5 minutes slower than that was that initial 1K pace. So as they're starting to wind up now, the 3 minutes through the second K there as they hit 6:10. So I think we're just going to see things get a little bit faster. If they could take 10 seconds off every K, I think this last kilometre is going to be pretty impressive to watch. But Christopher Dryden there, he's an honest, hard-working athlete, I think is a really, really good way to put it with Christopher. He's competitive in every event that he does, whether it's cross-country, road relay. He steps out on the track and keeps things honest. And he's looking for someone to come through at the moment. Little not prepared to, nor is Melton, so they've stopped to a very slow pace again as they work through, and Daniel Stoffer, who had just dropped off the back of the pack, has been able to latch on again to an extent. So it's a very tactical race, this, and Dryden has been left with the pacemaking duties somewhat reluctantly. Yeah, and they just ran 200 metres there in about 3:15 pace, so maybe this is what we're going to see tonight from this men's 5,000. Quite a different affair from what we saw in the women's. A really quality time in the women's. Some really hard work at the front to keep that pace honest and create a race for those medals. Maybe here in the men's we've got a few athletes there that are backing their kick, or maybe just a little bit concerned that wind down on the track maybe a little bit tougher than what we're seeing up here in the stands.
But George Varney, hey, the athlete from Manawatu Wanganui, he's decided it's time to get things moving.
He led early and he's kicked back to the front, and Little's going with him. Melton into third, then Ronan Lee, Callum Stewart, and now the field just opening up a bit, and so Speakman and Oakley will be looking to not allow the gaps to increase, which they don't. They close up now, and Christopher Dryden's just dropped off to the back of that pack, but still running comfortably within himself, but just letting others do the work for now.
And we've talked about the night of fives up at North Harbour Bays. In the previous races, the athletes that have run personal bests there in the last couple of months. And William Little there in the white strip of the Whippets running program out of Auckland. 13.50 at the night of fives back in December. I want to say it came out of nowhere because his personal best was 14.22, but he was doing that off the back of a 29.14 at Zatopek, which in itself, the Zatopek run was, I'm going to say, out of nowhere as far as his pedigree on the track. The times hadn't really come. So it was really, really awesome to see him run so well over in Melbourne at the Zatopek Classic, up against the top Aussies. Then to come back here and run such a huge personal best and get under that 14-minute barrier over 5,000 metres. And on the back of those two performances, got that selection for World Cross Country. So he's going off to Belgrade, to Serbia, to run at the World Cross Country Champs as our only senior man. So we really do obviously want to see him run well here tonight, but really do wish him the best as he heads off to represent our senior men at the World Cross Country Championships.
Yeah. 2 kilometres left to run. We had another really quiet 200 metres down the back straight, but they have started to pick up again with Varney leading. Little, who's been prominent throughout without actually leading. Connor Melton lying third. Ronan Lee is in fourth spot.
Yeah, and on one hand, I want to say, hey, any juniors out there that are watching, maybe trying to get some tips about how to run a 5,000 metres, this wouldn't be the recommended way to do it. But on the other side of things, actually watching some of those athletes and seeing how they're responding to the surges that are coming, to the slowdown in pace. And look, another move there at the front from William Little. He's decided maybe he wants to do a fast 200. We'll see if he continues on with that pace once we come around in front of the stand.
Melton looking to go with him. Ronan Lee also looking to stay with him. Varney is currently in fourth spot, and Speakman and Oakley, they need to start closing up now some of these gaps. They're about 20 metres off the leader now.
Yeah, and the risk here with a move like that from William Little is that if athletes immediately respond to it, then they get the same level of fatigue from that move. If the pace then drops, then those athletes that have responded to it too quickly are then hitting that same level of fatigue as the front guy. Whereas if they can just manage that pace increase over a longer period of time, sometimes the response to it is a little bit better. As the front guys slow down a little bit, the back guys can pull them in and go past. But William Little and Connor Melton have really put the pace on over the last 400 metres, and they've got what looks to be about 60-70 metres over Eric Speakman and Julian Oakley at the moment, but I wouldn't be writing those two athletes off yet with 3.5 laps to go.
So William Little, who's been third in the mile and 3,000 metre championship so far this season. Connor Melton, who's been third in the last two editions of this 5,000 metre national title. They are the two leaders. Julian Oakley's moved into third ahead of Eric Speakman. George Varney is currently fifth. Then Ronan Lee in sixth, and Christopher Dryden looking to try and get back into the mix as well.
Yeah, and you can't rule Connor Melton out, especially off of the slow pace early on. He ran a personal best of 14.04 at the Graham Douglas event just a week ago. And so of these athletes, we know he's an athlete that's capable of running in that 14-minute mix. Right now, he's in that good form.
So Little leads, Melton looking pretty comfortable with him, and Julian Oakley now having to work hard. He's third and by himself and looking to close in to try and defend his title with 3.5 laps left to go. Championship record that won't be touched from Hayden Wild of 13:43.53 back in 2021. Of course, the New Zealand record recently broken by Geordie Beamish at 13:04.33, and the recent record held by the great Nick Willis, 13:22.11 back in 2015. But very much a tactical affair tonight.
Yeah, and certainly looking at those two leading athletes, William Little looks as though he is working a lot harder than Connor Melton, just off his shoulder. Sometimes those facial expressions can be a little bit deceptive. We saw her in the women's race, Annika Arlich, with a big smile on her face, but was clearly working really, really hard out the front of that women's race. Julian Oakley, he is doing everything he can to drag these guys back in. He's still a good 50 metres down. He's starting to put his head down. He's really driving the leading athletes now with 600 metres remaining.
So up front is William Little. Connor Melton is on his back, and the defending champion Julian Oakley trying to close on these two. Some deep breaths there from Little in front.
And William Little is really working hard out the front there. He's trying to stretch Connor Melton now with 1 lap remaining. Julian Oakley might have left himself just a little bit much to do. He's currently in bronze medal position. Eric Speakman still holding on to that 4th position.
Senior men's 5,000 metres enters the final lap with William Little in front. Connor Melton looks his only danger. Julian Oakley's gone through now in 3rd spot. Eric Speakman, 2nd last year, will go through with a bell, 4th. Then George Varney, then Christopher Dryden. Little driving hard in the back, and he's really opened up a good gap here, Reece.
Yeah, every few steps he seems to be dragging another half a metre or so. Connor Melton also working hard to hold on to that silver medal position, but it looks as though William Little is really stretching it out now as they go around the top bend. It's out to about 35 metres.
Building on a really good season that he's had so far. William Little coming into the home straights, and he's going to be a comfortable winner of the senior men's 5,000 metre championship. William Little from Connor Melton, and Julian Oakley is finishing very fast. Melton claims 2nd. Oakley's last 100 metres would have been impressive in 3rd. Speakman finishing 4th, and that's Dryden and Varney sorting out 5th and 6th. Dryden will be 5th, Varney 6th. Callum Stewart in the Wellington singlet will be the next one through from Ronan Lee.
Callum Stewart. And Ronan Lee.
Charles Buchanan the next to come through in his Auckland singlet.
And then Charles Buchanan. That completes it.
And certainly Connor Melton was saying before the race, 3rd place in this event over the last couple of years. He'll be stoked to take a step up there in silver, especially when you're running up against an athlete like William Little. Like we said, 5,000 metre, 10,000 metre personal best back in December. He's heading off to World Cross Country. What a way to send off for him, win a national 5,000 metre championship right before he heads away. Really confident boosting for him to go ahead and wear that New Zealand circuit for the first time.
So the title and gold medal to William Little in the white and red Whippets running project singlet. And Connor Melton.
And we know a lot of you watching, the stats are always something that is in the back of people's mind about how fast did they run that lap or how fast did they do that section. Well, for those who are watching that finish coming from Julian Oakley, I got him at 2:42 for the last kilometre, so he really dragged those guys in, but William Little with a really, really strong last couple of laps was able to hold him out as well.
There is the result of the men's 5,000 metre senior championship, 14:44.72, time fairly irrelevant title to William Little. In a tactical race, Connor Melton claiming 2nd, upgrading from 3rd last year. Defending champion Julian Oakley 3rd, and Eric Speakman 2nd last year. This year will finish 4th ahead of Christopher Dryden.
Yeah, and I believe that might be a personal best there for George Varney from Manawatu Wanganui. We saw him move to the front a couple of times early on in that race as the pace was really dropping away. And look, really good to see an athlete like George come out top 6 in the New Zealand 5,000 metre champs.
Indeed. Tomorrow we're on air streaming at 11:25. Sarah Caroli Ross and Hayden Sherman will be leading the coverage, and the 100-metre heats come up early on. Just to note, there's no women's senior heats, a straight final featuring Zoe Hobbs at 5:20. We do have heats though for the men's 100. We also have 400-metre para finals that we're looking forward to around about or just after midday. And then we'll be with you right through until the end of the track program, which will include those 100-metre finals for senior men and women, also 800-metre finals, which should provide some outstanding battles in the men's. James Preston up against Sam Tanner. And in the field, the women's shot put featuring Maddie Weshi, who finished 4th in the World Indoors. The men's long jump with Shay Veach, Felix McDonald and Lewis Arthur to the fore, and the men's hammer, Anthony versus Anthony, Nobilo versus Hans, who's in from the United States, having thrown 80 metres, so a lot, 70 metres I should say, so a lot to look forward to tomorrow, and of course Saturday and Sunday, Reece.
Yeah, absolutely, and the nice thing, certainly after watching these distance races here this evening, a number of these athletes we're going to get to see again in the steeplechase, the 1500s, and maybe some more medals for some of these athletes as well. But certainly, what a great way to see some of our world cross country athletes as they head off over the next couple of days and make their way to Serbia. And we'll be checking out those results in a few weeks. I think Saturday the 30th is the date of the championships. A good, strong New Zealand team of 18 athletes heading over there. So, yeah, a good way to follow on from the World Indoors and such an amazing performance by New Zealand there. I'm not sure we're going to see medals, but certainly a strong team that should have a strong showing for New Zealand.
The expert analysis and comments from Reece Buck as we wrap up day 1 of the Jennian Holmes New Zealand Track and Field Championships. Be sure to join us from 11:25 tomorrow.